We are live. Hello, Wayne.
Hey, James.
So
It's a
we are
great day.
back. As we've coined ourselves, the socially ambitious chatterboxes are back live. Um, and just in case you don't know who I am, my name is James Williams. I'm a certified high performance coach, and specifically serving leaders, CEOs, people with everything fantastic on the outside, but maybe something unfulfilled on the inside. Right, the world of the unfulfilled leader that has a lot on his or her shoulders that gets to redefine everything. And this is my good friend and mentor of many years, Dr. Wayne Pernell, who will introduce himself.
It is an amazing morning, James. It's so good to be here with you again. So good. I'm Dr. Wayne Pernell, the CEO and founder of Dynamic Leader, which is a consultancy for scalable leadership. My work is really about working with leaders, taking them on a one-to-one journey to their next best next, to be making a more positive impact for themselves personally and for their organizations. Also working in organizations to help leadership teams and management, doing management development, doing training, and I do speaking internationally. I've got a few books behind me, five, and
Don't rub
and
it.
on and on. It's so much fun to be able to make an impact in the world this way. And leaders need a broader perspective with the speed of how fast the world is changing. Being able
Mhm.
to keep that perspective is everything. So
Yeah.
we got a big topic today, James, because the last time we as the socially ambitious chatterboxes spoke, we went down a path, and it left some questions for both of us, like in like we reflected on our what we had said, and I think it's really important that we circle back to the topic
Mhm.
of motivation and the dopamine challenge. And let me just say one more thing. Even though there's a doctor as part of my title, neither one of us is a medical expert or practitioner. We do know a thing or two about motivation, and that is what's bringing us back here. We are not offering medical advice of any nature. So,
Right. This
um,
is lived experience and reflections and what me and Wayne chat about in our spare time. If this doesn't interest you, you don't want to come out for a coffee with us. That's
it's what we do.
what we do.
Yeah.
So
So,
can I open up with a phrase?
uh, please.
This is how I've kind of coined this idea that we're going to talk about today. That we are not suffering from a lack of motivation. We are drowning in overstimulation. What
It's
does
true.
that mean?
Yeah. What does that mean? It means that we are bombarded with quick hits of dopamine that makes us feel good. And that comes from everything from our social, I've got two phones, I've got how many laptops I've got, right? And we are bombarded. And then you turn on TV, and then there's the news, and then there's your texts from friends who are sensationalizing whatever they've just seen. And so it's not just information overload. It is really about, wow, knowing this makes me feel good, or knowing this makes me feel like I need to know more, or let me dive in deeper. We all have friends and family members that are the doom scroll. I've been known to do it myself, just like, hey, I've got a couple of minutes, let me see what's up. And 40 minutes later, I'm like, that wasn't what I intended at all. So even though you and I both know what's going on, we're susceptible to it. And I
Yeah.
think that is huge in terms of paying attention to what we do with our lives. And I think if you could talk about a little bit, like, well, is it so bad? Like, is chasing dopamine so bad? It's like, yes.
Well, I think the question is why, right? So there are lots of different groups of people we could talk about. I guess what's prevalent in my life is A, my daughter and the world that she'll grow up in, and B, the people I surround myself with, the clients, the high achievers, the visionaries, the entrepreneurs who, like myself, are hungry for knowledge. And within that, there's a trap because we're hungry for knowledge. And there's so much out there and it's exciting. But unless you ask yourself, why am I interested in going down this rabbit hole? And is it relevant to what I need to know right now to be of service? Then that can be doom scrolling for me, right? I mean, I know that the question why and curiosity is a big topic we always talk about, but it comes back to that. It's okay, I'm hungry, but what's the diet that's gonna serve me and those I serve right now?
Yeah. What makes it so important right now, right? And it's that push. Dopamine in itself is not a bad thing. It helps to drive motivation. It is what pulls us forward. That's awesome. Now, are you motivated for the right thing?
Right.
Right? That's the biggest thing. So we do seek reward. We seek to avoid pain. That's great. We talked about cortisol and dopamine last time we spoke. And that's what brought us back to this because sure, cortisol feels terrible and dopamine feels great. And it's like that does feel great in what dosage and with what with what intention, really? What's the intention of seeking that hit? And if it's, wow, I just learned something new, this is amazing, and it will serve me, fantastic. That sounds intentional. If it's, wow, I just learned something new, and so's new shoes, and this person's, cosmetic line, it's like, is that really going to serve you right now? Or so, it's like, do rumors serve you? Not really. So
Really,
it's it's about intentionality. It's back
it
to
is
that.
about intentionality. It's I want to. I like to refer, like, make sure I don't make anything wrong. Right? Dopamine's not wrong. Cortisol's not wrong.
Right.
There's a function. Having access to all the information isn't wrong. That puts the emphasis of responsibility on us. Right?
Right.
It really does. And you know what? One of the things that got this conversation really blown up before we did it, Wayne, is you'd mentioned that you had the pleasure of meeting Stephen Kotler,
Oh
really
yeah.
amazing author. Superhuman. What's his book? The Rise of Superman. And there's a amazing book written. He talks about the neurochemical. If you think
Right.
about the way the world's like the way the world works now with social media is they're very clever and they're like, well, we can use that and we can control people's minds by making everything available to them, and we know what they're looking at and when they're looking at it, and we're going to throw that at them. It's
Yes.
the psychology of peak performance, and it's kind of being used against us a little bit. So now that intentionality of why I'm looking at what I'm looking at and what I'm going to use is more important than ever, because if we're not aware, we can get sucked into what seems just like a lot of wonderful things we want to see.
It's true. If you think about where we've been in our history, where have we been? And what I'm talking about is pre-internet, right? What did we used to do to feel good? Sports, reading, uh, chatting with each other, like a true connection with each other. That was our dopamine hit. We used to feel good by being connected. And now there's what's called tolerance, right? We've built up a tolerance to this quick hit of, wow, that felt good. Wow, that felt good. Like, and we may not even register that felt good. This new thing is shocking. And so we're gonna look at this story. And it's like, well, do we need to look at this story? Can we recognize, and this comes back to what we teach in high performance, perspective. Your perspective counts. Your ability to step out of yourself and actually look at your life makes a huge difference. And you help guide your own life. The tolerance effect is gigantic. I mean, we as humans have a need for dopamine to drive us. Awesome. Cortisol to keep us aware. Excellent. And if it drives us and it's like this next hit and this next hit, now we're being pulled into it, sucked into it, instead of being really, it comes back to intentionality, being really intentional about the direction of our lives. What are we choosing to feed ourselves with?
Yeah.
Right? You could have a diet of cheese doodles and you know, little snack cakes that never uh, that never dissolve. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I won't
They're
I won't
great in the
mention
moment.
brands, right? So
Yeah. Great in the moment, but don't serve long term. Right.
yeah.
And so back to intentionality, back to, well, let me ask you this as the master of psychology, how trainable is our attention?
Oh, it's exceptionally trainable, right? I
Right.
mean, we train ourselves every day with what we desire. It's, it's early in our conversation to get to how to fix it, and yet I want to maybe bring that up here to talk about how we train ourselves into a certain pattern. We can train ourselves out of that pattern, and I think what's important is that we train ourselves into a different pattern. So the first the first step is awareness. Like, be aware that this is actually happening. um it's it's like any habit that you do. Are you chewing your fingernails? Are you like any habit? Are you one of those pen clickers that where it becomes really annoying to everybody else and you don't even know it? Are you distracting yourself and that becomes really annoying to you at the end of the day when you go, where'd my day go?
There you go.
And you may not even know what you did with your day. So you train yourself to enjoy a certain level of pleasure, and that comes from dopamine. That comes from it comes from the experience you have that releases dopamine. So now it's a matter of, well, where would I choose to get my dopamine releases? Like, what kinds of triggers do I want in my life that actually serve me? And that's going to be, for me, that's going to be physical hugs. It's going to be meeting people that I enjoy. It's going to be this kind of stuff, because I get like really excited being able to talk to you, James, and share this. It's from reading something new, like the novelty. Novelty is
Mm.
really exciting for our brains, and and so to answer your question, yeah, it's we train ourselves to tolerate a certain thing, and we train ourselves to seek certain things. And so if you look around your room, what is it you're tolerating that you've just sort of become numb to? Oh yeah, that's there. I should take care of that.
Right.
So the same is true with dopamine. Oh yeah, we've become numb to how much stimulation we're actually getting.
Hmm.
So it's really important to be paying attention to that.
Yeah. And what we focus on grows, right? And so, which is really interesting when you think about, if you're someone who does find yourself constantly seeking novelty, constantly seeking new and stimulation, um, if that in itself is a habit, an attention habit, and what you focus on grows, then that habit grows. You know, it becomes normal for your brain to not settle on a thing and want new things, and it just becomes this unsatisfied brain of next, 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 novelty, 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 rather than an intentional deep dive into, you know, what are the things that I'm struggling with right now? And where could I find novelty that would serve that struggle and make that a strength?
I'm gonna yeah, dovetail on that, because I think, you and I both work with leaders. And one of the things that we focus on with our leaders, with our clients who are leaders becoming even better leaders, one of the things that you and I both focus on is presence.
Hmm.
And you can't be present if you're like, yeah, that's right. Oh, wait, let me just check this. Oh, yeah, and right, real solid presence. James, where else are you seeing this with your leaders? Like, where's it showing up for you, um and how are you helping them deal with it?
So one thing I'm noticing is, and you've probably seen this, is again the leader that seems to have it all together, right? Their success polished on the outside, respected. It's all together. And then inside, when they're honest, it's like, I'm overwhelmed. I don't have anyone. I don't have a sounding board. I don't have anyone to talk to.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just kind of getting through it. And it's like, I don't know what the next thing is, the next level is. And there's an element of this dopamine element there, because they're finding ways to stimulate themselves to feel better about, or distract themselves from their internal suffering. Right? It's a very common thing, especially at a very high level.
Yeah.
Um, and first off, it's very
I
hard
just
for
want to
people.
share real fast, like, and you can say whether it's true for you as well. There are times when I'm there too, right?
Oh, for
Where it's like,
sure,
right? It's like
for
we're
sure.
taking on, because you and I both we push ourselves to learn more, to be better, to, like, we need to be at a sharper level, at a higher level, to be able to guide the way we guide. And so there's this sense of, all right, I've got to take on more, I've got to learn more. I'm going to launch a new project, and and we move forward knowing that we have the capability of figuring it out. At the same time, it's sort of like, you see a duck floating on the water, and above the water line, the duck's head looks great. And under the water line, the duck is scrambling. And so it's like, everything's fine. It's all good. And under, it's like, we're
Yeah,
paddling like heck. Most people do that. And I wanted to bring that up because it's like, it is the truth for most humans that we want to look good on the outside. And the truth is, we're human, every
we're
one of
human.
us. Ta-da! Like, that's awesome.
So
So as
where's the release valve, right? Because
right,
if we all do it, it's not about ever getting to a point of not ever being scrambly and having it all together. It's what have I set up to release the pressure before it builds up,
yeah,
right? Um, do I have the real courage that's required, which is, I'm going to find someone to be honest with and vulnerable with, and I'm going to take my cape off for a minute, because I don't always have to be this superhero that maybe people see me as, and I'm going to be strong enough to say, hey, I'm scrambling a little bit. I need to find my true north. Let me express myself. That's courageous.
agreed, agreed. So three things are going to play in here. One is meaningful connection, right? So, right, instead of that search and hey, how are you, and on to the next person or the next thing, or right, or that kind of breathless feeling, that whether you're breathless actually or not, it's this sense of go, right? So it's meaningful connection. It is delayed gratification as well,
Mm,
right? The whole idea about dopamine is, this feels good now. Oh, this feels good now. Oh, this feels good now. And it's like, the third part feeds into the delayed gratification, and that is meaningful effort. And
mm,
so recognizing that the project you're working on, the hard thing that you feel like you're fighting against, is actually the thing that will feed you and serve you. And it's not about the quick hit of dopamine. It is the recognition that dopamine drips along the way as you give that meaningful effort. And what's
yeah.
meaningful for each of us is different as we live into our purpose. And that comes back to leadership. So, delayed gratification, meaningful effort, and true connection with other
Mhm.
humans. Those are the things that allow for true success, and to not be going for the next, kind of grab of what's going to feed me, what's going to make me feel better.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the journey, or the plane taking off journey, that leader had at the beginning is such a different requirement, and it's like when they're taking the plane off, they get to 30,000 feet and then keep going, and it's like, you don't need to burn that much fuel right now. You're there. In fact, to be a great leader, you can't give off that same energy that you did at the beginning when you were doing everything and being frantic, because there is a point where that's kind of needed. You need some. There are points in the beginning of a journey where maybe it is a little bit frantic, and that's okay because you're figuring it out. But there is a point where it's not needed anymore. They're running a tape that's not working in
Right.
the current album. Right?
Yeah.
Throwing out all the metaphors.
Well, I think that's a huge point, a really great point, is that what once served you no longer serves you, right? That in order for you to keep growing as a good human, as a strong leader, as someone in the world making a difference, what once served you, it kept you safe, right? Or it kept you feeling good. It doesn't serve you now. And so to really take inventory, use this discussion as a prompt for you to take inventory. What is
Mhm.
it that you're after? And what are the things in your life that are serving you, and what's actually taking you away from that greater path?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's renewal, isn't it? It's a constant renewal, and especially, and this is where we're focusing on the leaders in this conversation, because more so than anyone, highly ambitious people require more a renewal more often because their journey of evolution is so fast compared to most that the renewal of what's required now to function for the next step is different to the previous one. It's that questions you and I have asked our clients and ourselves a lot. What is it that I'm doing now that isn't serving me? What is it that I'm doing now that is serving me that I can ramp up? And what
Yep.
is it that I'm not doing that I could be doing that will serve me? Like those three
Exactly.
questions alone, like write them down, people, because there's a lot in that will awaken you, that unconscious incompetent version of you that is like, why am I doing that? I don't need to
Yeah.
do that anymore. It's just so automated. And it comes
I
back
think
to what Wayne was saying, presence.
mhm. I think what's important, and most people have a really hard time with this, and it surprises me every single time, and yet it is absolutely the norm. And that is that most people, if you ask them, they won't be able to tell you what they want. What do you want? Like, what do you truly, truly desire? And my question for my clients is, what would you truly treasure? And you think about what would you treasure? I think of it like a garden. What do you want to grow in this garden? And it's like, well, I'd love to have this garden be abundant and overflowing with all these beautiful things. It's like, then what are you doing to tend to that garden? Because
Yeah.
while you're doing other things, that garden is growing weeds or suffering. And
Hmm.
so it's really about intentionality. I
Yeah.
want this in my life. That's great. If that's what you want, then what do you need to start doing? What do you need to stop doing? What do you need to do more of that you're already doing? And those three questions, as you said, those are the ones that are going to lead you toward the abundant garden that you're tending to every day. Whether you are doing it consciously or not, you're helping tomorrow grow, right? You're
Yeah.
building your tomorrow right now. And so um, are you doing that in a way that is actually fueling who you're becoming on purpose? Or are you doing it in a way that's sort of detracting from who you're becoming by not being on purpose or in purpose or intentional?
Right. And that on purpose is such a great point because the leaders that we're talking about are very hardworking people. It's There's no lack of effort going on. But it would be interesting for everyone to think about, you know, am I actually considerate of, am I intentional with how I'm making decisions and how I'm running every day? Is it really purposeful? Because if there's something that does feel like I'm that panicky duck under the water, have I accepted that that must be the norm? Have I accepted that, that's just the way it is?
That's a
And
great
if
question.
Right, is that, have you accepted that? I had a conversation with someone earlier today. We talked about intuition, and I would hedge your bet that most really high achieving leaders who really have the potential have a deep seated intuition that that isn't the way it's meant to be. What do you think?
Well, I mean, the people that I work with all know that they are not living the life that they could be living. They know that there's more. And that's the ache. It's also, I think, what drives that frenetic energy to get that more right now, right now, versus the more sustained, deliberate process of, I do know there's more, and this is what it looks like. And so I think this is great, James, because for us, you and I both help our leaders, our VIP clients, to define a vision for themselves that most people never truly stop to do for themselves. Who
Mm,
do I want to become? What do I want to have in my life? What does my life look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like, taste like? How am I gliding through each day? And that of I got to work harder, faster, the duck's legs under the water. For many people, it becomes that is the norm. That's how I'm going to get there. It's like, is that the ideal vision and ideal version of yourself?
mm,
And is what you're doing right now getting you closer to or further from that ideal vision and version of yourself? Because you plant the seeds for tomorrow, right now, and right now, and right now, and right
mm.
now, right? Each moment we're planting seeds for who we're becoming. Do you know who you want to become, and can you take the next best step deliberately?
Yeah. Oh man, you said something then. Get there. This is really interesting.
Yeah,
For those listening that resonate with this, firstly, you're never going to get there because there doesn't exist. And secondly, imagine looking at it like this: that we're talking about incorporating something that is a lifestyle, not a project with a beginning and an end. Because a
correct.
project with a beginning and an end is like, well, I can knuckle down and get it done. As opposed to consider how you're choosing to show up is how you're always going to show up unless you change. So if you don't feel at your best right now, one little hit for a couple of weeks of changing things is not a change.
Come
You
on,
know,
James. I went to the gym once.
exactly. I mean, I have a good friend here. He's a coach. He's a health coach, and what I love about his philosophy is he he doesn't teach his clients to do anything that they can't do forever. It's like we're changing your lifestyle. We're not getting you ready for the beach and that be the goal. It's like we're changing your lifestyle. And yes, the side effect is you'll probably look great, but we're changing the way you live that's sustainable so that it's like I can do this and it serves me.
Exactly. Exactly. It is about, I think that's the biggest kind of overlapping concept here, is that this is about building a sustainable, long term, meaningful path versus seeking the quick hit for feel good right now. I do
Right.
want to say again that neither of us are medical professionals. We're talking about dopamine. More important right here, we're talking about our areas of expertise, which is about motivation and long term success.
Yeah. And so it's a beautiful concept because it's, if you're in the habit of distracting yourself from your struggles with quick wins, with quick novelties, um, it can be a really troublesome habit to get into. It removes us from intentionality, from presence. And just to take it away from work for a minute, I want you I one thing I'm very aware of as a father is that I'm modeling behavior.
Oh, yeah.
If my daughter's seeing me chasing new novel things to make myself happy, and I can't be happy just being present with the same thing or same person, then that's what she's thinking is a normal way to be. Leaders have their team and their families
Yeah.
and their friends, and leaders like that we're talking about are very highly respected in their world, not just by their family, but by their friends, by their co-workers, by their colleagues. And like it or not, you are influencing those people.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's how I become, as amazing as, Barbara,
Well,
right?
I I think one of the things that I like to share is that we're all leaders. Like, it doesn't
Hmm.
matter what your role is in an organization. Somewhere, somehow, out in the community, in your organization, in your family, you're being watched.
Yeah.
And it could be even while you're grocery shopping. You lean into a certain
Hmm.
product and you study the box, and someone watches you study the box, and then you put it in your cart, and someone down the aisle from you saw you being really intentional and intent on this box, and you put it in your cart. You've just given them something to focus on, and they're going to that same place. You didn't know you were a leader. You're a
Yeah, for
leader
sure. That's great.
every single day. And so
Hmm.
recognize that how you run your life, you're leading others, whether you know it or not.
For
Doesn't
sure.
matter your title, you are a leader. How are you going to choose to show
Sure.
up?
When you see someone at that avocado aisle, testing the avocado to see if it's perfectly ripe, the next person's like, "Oh, yeah, I should do that because every time I go, I'll bring them home and they're not ripe, and I've got to wait 5 days to be able to eat them." You're right, right? Influence and leadership is at all levels, and it's man, it's so important, and that's an easier motivator for someone like me who, as a recovering giver, quote unquote, coin carrier. Um, it's easy to motivate me if you make me realize how I'm showing up is affecting people around me, right?
Yeah.
That's the easy one for me, and maybe that's an easy one for you listening as well. Either way, it brings us back to that point of intentionality, which for some might be like, "Oh, I don't have time for intentionality. I'm busy." You know how much time you're going to save if you're more intentional. What's the
Yeah.
whole thing about clarity is that you know doing exercising the wrong plan perfectly is going to cost you time and money.
Well, there's a difference,
Being more
right? Between,
intentional.
yeah, the difference between efficient and effective, right? So
Yes.
two
Seven
race
habits.
cars on a two race cars on a track out in the desert, like no real track. They're not, right. So they're highly tuned. They've got the best fuel. They're both revving, and the go flag goes, right. You get this light, and boom, two race cars, and they go tearing off, and they're both tuned efficiently. And one goes off here, and one goes flying down to the finish line. And it's like they're both efficiently running, but only one was effective. Why? Because it had a goal that it was focused on, not
Hmm.
efficiently burning its energy efficiently on other tasks, other projects, other people, other quick hits. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, okay. So, um, can you put what's in it's this comes down to, for me, it comes down to a term I love to use, which is discernment.
Mm.
Discernment. And you choose what's in and what's out for the next block of time. In this block of time, I am choosing what's in and what's out. Like, doing this with you today, James, what I did was I hit the do not disturb button on my devices, right? That allows me to choose. I'm not getting distracted by the banners that show up, right? I'm not getting distracted by the dings, and and it is so easy to do that during the day, to go, oh yeah, I know I'm working on this. Oh, I should pay attention to that. For what? For the quick hit, because you can get it done, because it's like really fast and you feel good. That's dopamine. Stop it. Like, be intentional about it. I will get to that message on this block of time later today. So it comes back to intentionality. It comes back to discernment. What's in, what's out. What do I need to do more of, less of, or start doing? All those things weave together to make a much more effective life.
For
It's the
sure.
stuff that
That's
you
great.
bring to your clients. You and I both, but it's like you're doing it every day with leaders after leaders. It's so great.
Yeah, it's the oh, I didn't get a good job because everyone kept emailing me and calling me. No, you didn't set boundaries.
Right. Again, discernment. What's in and
Yeah,
what's out. Right.
exactly. Yeah, that's
I'm
great.
I'm
There's such a permission piece. I feel leaders, bless them. I mean everyone, but people that really care about what they're doing take on a lot of responsibility, and that's a great thing. But it can be an excuse for how they're showing up. It's like I am responsible for being there for everyone all the
yeah.
time, and there's great intention there, but there's lacking of intentionality in terms of, well, actually, who do they need me to be? Because if I'm setting boundaries and I'm allowing myself to really come at problems from a fueled, heightened place, and B, me setting boundaries is allowing them to set boundaries, is allowing them to structure their days, knowing that they can't just flim flam and all over the
Well,
place,
it's back to
right?
you
Um,
modeling, right? You set boundaries that models the
right.
behavior for others to do it with you, to honor what you've set, and to maybe take that on for themselves. I think that's huge.
Yeah. Do you think there's something to be said for if someone is kind of addicted to constant novelty, that is a result of them not managing their boundaries and their stresses very well, so that they're constantly in need of figuring out how to manage their stress because the boundaries are loose, because they're maybe finding themselves allowing the um, mood and the way other people show up to affect them. They're needing quick hits of something to make them feel
And I
better. So it's why is that constant need of novelty there? What's it actually fixing? Because there's something else
well,
there.
I don't want to dive too deeply into the neurodivergence, right? The arena of ADHD, which is a huge topic right now. So I'll
Mm.
answer that by saying that even if that is a style or a kind of a personal operational style, based on um, neurology or based on patterns that you've given yourself over time, there are ways to manage it, and you manage it through block time, right? You manage it by being very specific about, in this block of time, this is what I will do. And even if that block of time is the next 30 seconds, I'm focusing on this thing only, that's really huge, because you begin to train yourself that first it's 30 seconds, then it's then it's 2 minutes, then it's a 10-minute block, then a 20-minute block. And if you get into a place of you're the opposite side of, rather than more new, you get into hyper focus, same thing, block time, right? Where it's like, set a timer,
Hmm.
get yourself in a
Yeah.
place where you will focus very specifically, and then get up and give yourself a break. I think, what's big and huge, and it's bigger than big, it's huge, is the point of, we're not saying don't seek pleasure. That's like, our message today is not that. Pleasure is a beautiful part of anyone's life, and you and I, James, both, if we were asked right now, like, do you enjoy your life? The answer is, yeah, like, of course. um And for many people, that's not the immediate answer. Do we have challenges and strife? And the answer again is yeah, of course. Like, yes. And so it's really a matter of we don't seek to avoid that, right? We don't seek to avoid the challenges. We don't seek to avoid the strife. We know that those challenges that seem really insurmountable right now are actually the things that make us better, stronger. It's kind of like when you go to a gym or even at home, like if you start lifting a 10-pound weight and you haven't lifted weights before and you're like, oh, 10 pounds, this is like that's a lot, and after you do it, you recognize that that's you're ready for 15. Like, you're strong, you're ready for 15. The weight hasn't changed, you've changed. The challenge doesn't change, your ability to take on new challenges changes. And so, back to dopamine and success and this path that we set for ourselves, it's about boundaries, it's about intentionality, it's about discernment. What are you allowing into your life, what are you not? And it goes back to for what. Like, I always look at, in my mind, when I do this, I think of a mountain, right? What is your next mountain that you are going to be climbing? Because the journey will change you, so that when you get to the top of this mountain, you're ready for the next mountain. Right? It's not like, "Oh, I'm
Hmm.
looking at this giant mountain range that is huge." It's like, "No, there's a mountain to climb. That's awesome. Get to the top of that mountain and then look back at how far you've come." Right? And each day
Hmm.
gets you to
True.
that next level. So be really intentional about what that next level is.
Yeah. Through managing your
Yes.
attention to the things that will get you
Yeah.
there, right? Picking one mountain and managing your attention. So, I guess a question would be then, what are some of the ways we can manage our attention? Well, one of them, block time, is managing. That's something that I need, to really manage my time. If I don't schedule it, it's not real. It's not going to happen. From a project to this is the time I'm giving myself to focus on these things like my
Yeah.
inbox. It's not when I get time. It's the time that I make.
Well, you're in
Um,
charge of your calendar, which is, it's that's a skill. And talk a little
mm,
bit, James, about how do you approach your week? Because it's not like, oh, I have block time. Because it's almost like, grr, I have block time. It's more like, I have block time. That's freedom, right? The fact that you have
mhm.
quarantined certain things in certain periods of time, that gives you freedom, not like, oh, I have to
Yeah.
do this thing.
Yeah, scheduling does give me freedom for sure. I mean, we have our 2-year-old who is, we don't want her out of the house being brought up by other people too often. She's at like a learning daycare for a few hours, 3 times a week. But majority of the time she's around here. So we have different colored calendars for different things, right? There's personal, there's professional, there's other things. And so there's, intentional time with our daughter between us. We're like tag team in the house. There's intentional time for calls, right, where we're not to be disturbed. There's intentional time for work that even though it could be moved, it's blocked in until by which time there needs to be a discussed move, you know. And there's beginning of the week how any of that might need to shift based on mine and my wife's week that might be a bit different. So everything's blocked out. Some things are movable, some things are not movable, and that gives us the freedom to not have to think about it when we start our days. There's the clear plan. It's all color coded. I can see my wife, she can see mine. We know who's doing what. So if I'm on a call and she needs to know if I'm free at some other time, she can see which ones are movable. And so in my life, it's very much a team effort, and it's this color coded, you know,
Yeah.
um, color coded thing that works really well because and it may get harder, but Charlotte is a really important part of our life that we want to. And I know not everyone gets to do this. We work from home. We're blessed. We want to get to spend as much time with her as
Yeah.
possible,
Yeah.
right?
So
And
The key, like, there are a few key points that you've said, and I really want to highlight them. The key is
mhm,
you start your week with intentionality, right? You know
mhm,
what's in and what's out for your week. And you also know where there's some flexible time where if something comes up, you could plug it in. That's the part that's freedom. You also have this really strong skill set between you and Emily that you do a thing that's really magical. It's called communication. Communication is
mhm.
so important, and you do it with calendars, so it's like it's color coded, and sometimes the words don't need to be there because you already have the working agreements. This is key. You have the working agreements about what each of the colors mean to each of you during the course of a day and over the course of a week. What you didn't say, and what I know to be true about you, is that you set your week based on, back to this mountain, based on a higher goal for yourself, for your family, for the community. Like, as
Yes.
somebody who is in growth mode and in service mode, your mountain that you're climbing is about that. And so I know, knowing you, I know that you set your week with how am I going to serve my best this week? And what do I fill my week with? What do I choose? Actually, it's not about filling it. What do I choose to put into my week? And then where do I make sure that certain things don't come into that week? And so it's really intentional from the beginning. And I
Yeah.
think I just wanted to call that out, that's like, that is a skill set that, if that's one of the takeaways that we can bring to our audience today, that's huge, right? It's like,
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, I didn't also mention if we go back to the dopamine hit, there is very strict when the phone is on airplane mode and not,
great, great.
right? Because the temptation's always there. I'm not immune, and so up in the morning with our daughter coming down, that phone, I'm not gonna open up the can of worms that is email
Right. Yeah.
first thing. Set that, make it normal that in the evening as well. Like, you try and get hold of me after 7 p.m. in the evening, good luck.
Yeah. That's a boundary. And
Right, it's boundaries.
and it's not a boundary of I don't care about you. It's a boundary of
No.
I choose to put this into my life at this point, right? So
Right.
I think, um, if we were to guide our audience as an individual and or as a group, I think the one of the key questions to put out there is, where do you notice certain things in your life? Because when you begin to notice, you begin to have greater choices. In choosing your power, I talk about awareness leads to choice, and choice leads to greater awareness. It's an ever expanding spiral.
Mm,
And and so where can you notice something? Where can you give yourself a certain kind of awareness where you then have greater choices? And so where are you going for quick hits? What are you doing? Like,
mm,
when do you notice that you're going for the quick hit on the phone, or just one more game, or whatever it is that you're doing that gives you that surge? Where are you doing that? And then notice, is it a time of day? Is it when you have to approach a certain task? Like, are you trying to
mm,
make yourself feel better so that you don't have to feel bad about doing a certain thing? Or is it when your when your blood sugar naturally dips in the afternoon? Is it like, pay attention to when and what? Like, when is it happening and what else is going on that you feel compelled to kind of pull yourself away? Because I think those two
yeah.
things, with that awareness, you have a greater choice at that point. And with that greater choice, you now have a greater awareness. And it'll bring you back to, is this moving me closer to or further from the thing I said I wanted? If you back all the way up, it goes back to, do you know what you want? Like being able to define that is huge, because in the absence of I know what I want, it's like anything will do. And now I want this hit, and now I want that hit, and right.
Right.
And so we're back to that. So what is it you want? It's about intentionality. How did you stage your week to get it? What do you need to do more of? What do you need to do less of? What do you need to cut out? What do you need to start doing? All those things weave together so that you set your day, week, month life toward moving toward the thing that you said you wanted, right? That's how you're going to get
Yeah.
success. And that's how, when leaders set out, that's how you don't start going, hey, we're gonna make this company something. It's like something what? Like
Something
right?
more.
Something that does what? It's like my company does what? And so in your life, you do what? How are you showing up?
Yeah, and your this thing right here, this body, this brain, it's like a company, right? It's it's something that you're leading, and all of that stuff's amazing, and it's very valuable. I would also say, as a good test, what do you experience if you choose to sit and not think about anything or do anything for 5-10 minutes? What happens in your
Mm,
brain?
yeah,
Where are you filling time?
yeah, yeah.
Because that's a very quick experiment of, am I just uncomfortable not moving, not function, not like stimulating or feeling like I have to do something? Because giving people, especially, that's a thing. There's almost this guilt of not being full or not acting towards a vision. And
Gotcha.
all I will say is that um, allowing yourself to have moments of stillness is preparing you to be effective. That sleep
Agreed.
in itself is preparing you to be effective. That even just moments of stillness is preparing you to be
Love
effective.
it.
And if that is hard to do, that's a wonderful recognition of an opportunity to, exercise that muscle of stillness.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's one of the many skills that successful people have, is being able to be very clear about, again, what's in and what's out. It's discernment.
Yeah.
And building into your day pause, like the ability to pause.
Hmm.
It's where creativity comes from. It's where your creative, right? So
Yeah.
your creative solutions can't happen when you're in the midst of, I've got to go, 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 go,
Right.
go. The creative solutions happen in that pause, in that ability to step out and truly reflect back that perspective, right?
Yeah.
So that's huge. I think, a question I would ask then also is, what small shift could you make today or sometime this week that allows you not to be distracted, but rather to be intentional about meaningful progress toward a deliberate goal, right? So that's the kind of, if you look at what success is, it's not like bang, suddenly I'm successful. It's like there is a point at which you have built a foundation from which to spring. And
Hmm.
if your foundation is faulty, you can't ever spring. You can hope and wish, and you can blame other people for being successful, and you're not there yet. But it comes down to, how intentional are you about moving day by day by day toward that thing in a meaningful way. And I use the analogy of boiling water, right? So that water gets hot, and then it gets hotter, and it gets hotter, and when it's 210 degrees, it's really hot water. When it's 211 degrees, it's really, really hot water. When it's 212 degrees, that one extra degree, now it's boiling. Water boils at 212. So That's Fahrenheit. So you can go from, wow, I'm doing this, but at some point, boom, you do shift only if you have the strong foundation in place. So
That
where
1% is every one
that
degree.
one little degree is everything, and that degree happens after you build towards it, right? And so
Hmm.
that means, what small thing can you do today? What small thing can you do over the course of the week that will change your trajectory? What can you cut out, and what can you do? What small shift can you make this week where you are leaning into something more meaningful for a sustained period of time?
And specifically, something that is focused on your internal ability to show up, right? We're not saying find another project or program or strategy externally, but something that is that one extra degree that sets to the boil is, like I said, it's a foundational piece, and that's an internal function. That's where I haven't currently created space to function. That extra percent is everything. There are a
Yeah,
lot of people at 211 degrees, which as a Brit, confusing to me because I work in centigrade, so 99. That's
yeah,
huge. That one extra degree is
yeah,
everything. Is
yeah.
absolutely everything. But it's the one thing that it's not another external thing strategy. It's not working harder. It may be unlearning something. It may be slowing down and pausing. It's in fact, it may be something that feels so counterintuitive that that's why you haven't thought about it before. There's
That's
one way to
huge.
find out.
It's huge, because you talk about this internal thing. It becomes internal and internalized through practice,
Right.
right? And so it may be that pause, which is counterintuitive to so many people who are on the go, striving and working so hard, um, being efficiently ineffective, right? Woof.
Right. Yeah.
that what happens is, you take time to change the tires, to refuel, to you take the time to be fine tuning for becoming your best self. That
Yeah.
makes you a
Perfect.
stronger leader. It makes you a person who is truly in their purpose, and it makes you actually feel great about your own life, like waking
Hmm.
up feeling, I, I feel good. I know that I'm going to make a difference today, right? That kind of thing is huge, and
It is
it's
huge.
available to everybody.
It is. Yeah, wouldn't that be great to wake up every day knowing that you're on course and that you feel that calm confidence and that you've got this?
Yeah,
Even that, like, you've got this. To say that to yourself and know that it's true. Um, that's a huge, huge win to feel that
every day, every
every
day.
day.
Yeah,
Well, Wayne, my friend, I think that's probably a beautiful time to wrap it up. And as
nice.
ever, what a great conversation.
Truly, truly, always good to be in the socially ambitious chatterboxes space with you. I love this. So it's good, James. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And yeah, always feel free to put any comments or questions underneath. We'll always be
Yeah,
checking these, and sometimes those inspire, personal reach outs as well, inspire other conversations that we have. And so, until next time, take care. See you later.
that's right. We'll see you.